Okay. Good morning, Rodney, and welcome to Parla Parlour. Thank you
Oh,
so much for being with us today.
well, thanks for inviting me. This is so fun. I love these kind of things. So,
Well, I'm really excited to dig into a little bit of your story and the story around certain elements of NFM's omni-channel and customer experience strategy. A
sure.
lot of people know NFM. There's so many famous parts of NFM story. Everyone knows the famous handshake deal between Mrs. B and Warren Buffett.
Sure.
Berkshire Hathaway, with all of the different portfolio companies, is one of the top five furniture retailers in the US, I think even globally, which is pretty crazy. And then what I love, which I didn't really appreciate until I stepped into some of the NFM stores in Kansas City and Omaha, are the sizes, the sheer sizes of these stores, where I think the average furniture retailer is around 30,000 square feet. You guys are about 1 million square feet.
Yep. They're
So,
they're they're big.
yeah, they're amazing to go through. And yeah, I mean, there's so many different magical pieces to the company. It's a company that is been around for multiple generations, and there's just great stories whenever you talk to any salesperson in any part of the different departments. So we're really excited to have this time with you today. Thank you again for being with us.
Perfect. Yes, I'm very happy to be here. So, and thank you for those nice words.
So let's dive in first. Can you just tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your background and career in retail?
Oh, for sure. So, I've worked at NFM since 91. I came straight out of college with a degree in sales management and as a bachelor's. And then I was only going to be here for maybe a couple months because I was going to go sell annuities and stocks and all that kind of stuff. And then if you've ever been at NFM or have ever shopped with NFM, there's a culture that comes with this company that is so strong that it'd be like divorcing your parents if you left. You just don't leave. And we have that in our population. We have about 425, give or take, staff throughout the regions that have been here 20 years or more. Now, one of the reasons that I stayed was that we get the opportunity to do a lot of this innovative thinking. We aren't set in an old way of saying, well, this is how we do it. If the customers don't like it, too bad. We look for new things to make sure our customers are getting what they're asking for and what they need. And technology, like your company, is a great way to do those kind of added features that separate us from other online stores, because we not only have these massive footprints, but we have a massive web store, which we carry all the products that we carry in the store, plus we carry items that we don't carry. So that that is a great way for us to gain customers, and having this technology, like video shopping and text messaging and all of that, really emphasize the importance of our customers. So,
So tell me a little bit about how you about the customer journey, because I think that if we picked, 50 websites today, we would see a lot of the same ways of communicating with a customer.
oh, for
It's a lot of, yeah, it's chat, there's a phone number, there's maybe an email
mail,
address.
yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's not common that you would, as a customer, have the option to connect with somebody through a video call. So tell me how that idea landed.
Well, as a lot of people, COVID was a terrible, terrible place to be, not only as a human worried about getting the illness, but also as a retailer, because remember those big $1 million footprints we had? Well, we had to close those for over a month. And a
Yeah.
company our size, when you close for a month, is millions and millions and millions of dollars. And we had to find a way of still giving that customer an in store experience, because that's where a lot of the heavy lifting for our customers come from, without having them come into the store. And we really scrambled, and I think everybody really scrambled during COVID to figure out a way, curbside pickup and limited hours. And we even went through a period where we just let a certain number of customers in at a time because we didn't want the store to get overwhelmed. And it was a lot of innovation going on, trying to get that customer in the building without getting the customer next to us or in the building itself. So So we tried several different paths before we found your company, the Parla Group. Um, and this one is the one that we chose because of all the different touch ways that you have the ability to do the video, live video. I use this as a prime example. So during COVID, a lot of us were still in the store, just masked up, even when the store was closed. And I use this example all the time of why this is so important. We had a customer who was looking at a sofa online, but she was a shorter lady, and she wanted to know if her feet would touch. And we have all the measurements and all those, but she said, could you find somebody who's 5'4" and or thereabouts and have them sit in the sofa so that I can see what it looks like? Well, in the sofa she had picked out, what it made it look like an Edith Ann piece of furniture where her little feet were just dangling off of it, but we could show a human that was her similar size what it would be like. So that stopped her from getting a sofa that she was just going to return. So it's not just sales, it's helping them understand the product. And website is very 2D. It's, you visually see it, it's flat. We have some spinning, everybody's doing the AI spins and all of that. But unless you physically have a video or can stand in front of it, seeing how the folds of the arm work, how the back looks, it just isn't that same experience. And the other thing, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling, but I get excited about this. The other thing we really found was added sales, because then the customer saw the other pieces that were in that display. So they might fall in love with a chair, and that chair is by a sofa love seat that match perfectly, and they're like, "Well, I didn't know that came with that." And next thing you know, your average ticket has gone up substantially. You're getting more than just that single image, and it's really worked out well for us. And our close ratio, I can't share the exacts, but it's massive. If a customer makes an appointment and schedules time with us, those virtual sales virtually always close.
Yeah, and it you're allowing like you're giving the customer basically a vehicle where they can find the right product, be confident about what they're choosing, so they're making the right decision. They're maybe compressing a shopping journey because they're not just buying one item at a time, but they can buy a few together, so it helps with the AOV. And then I'm sure it's also helping with your return rate because
Oh, for
customers are
sure.
buying the right thing.
Well, and we've all shopped for furniture online and then went into the actual retailer. The online images, of course, have been, not enhanced, but they're going to be their best piece. They're not going to show you a piece that, the back, especially on some of the lower end pieces, they look fantastic online, but in reality, they're not 100% straight, and the cushions might not be 100% square. We show that now, so when you get it home, you're like, well, that's what it looked like, instead of this idolized this picture that we have that kind of, I won't say oversells, but it's certainly not showing all the freckles that you would see if you had a piece that you were standing in front of. So yeah, that's been huge for us.
Yeah. So then was it a simple decision then, I guess, to continue with virtual appointments and video shopping after the stores reopened?
We did. So we had a conversation about it. The other thing about NFM, which we didn't talk about earlier, is that our region, we kind of consider all the way out 300 miles around our store. Well, that's a heck of a drive. So what we decided was that this would help with the web business, help with those out of town customers who, and we went through some crazy gas prices, and driving to Omaha or Kansas or Texas to from 300 miles away was going to cost you, at least $100 just in fuel if you were driving something to haul back furniture in. So we found this is a good way. A lot of those customers do end up coming into the store after a video or a chat with one of our concierge agents, but just opening that up so that they saw what we had. You might not have ever even been here, but you schedule this thing and we do our little scan around the store, and they're like, I'll be in. And that's what we really want to know. It's great for just selling directly to customers, but it's also a great awareness piece. And what a luxury if you're homebound or you don't have a way to get here and you want to see if your feet are going to touch. I mean, it's just it's very powerful. If I were still in sales, I would be embracing that left and right, because I get to curate what you're going to look at, and trust me, it would be what you want, and it would not be, you know, uh, something that I knew would have an issue, which online you don't have that ability to talk to a customer. You have to hope they read, and but a human interaction keeps it in the house, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And the level of personalization, like you're saying, whether it's, details or customer height, you can
Oh yeah.
really personalize and tailor, curate the items that you can show a customer. So, how has the response been from your sales staff? How was it to kind of share this idea of not just selling in person, but extending their ability to sell through video? How has that gone?
So what we originally did was we didn't really have a specific team that did this business. So we had kind of a random assign it to whatever salesperson happened to be available at that time. And what we found is that not everybody has that skill set. Some of them actually need to be standing in front of you, telling you to sit down on it, all of those things, and they couldn't visualize what the customer was seeing through the video. So what
Mhm.
we did is we created a team. In every region has their own concierge team, and those folks understand exactly what they're doing. So the the change from in store to this virtual, this real life video stream was a learning curve for us for sure. Knowing where your camera's facing, this even the tech stuff of making sure that you're not just showing the ground all the time because you're walking with your tablet, but actually upright so that they can see what you're seeing. But once we got the concierge team, then it was really easy. And the folks who work in that area, their average ticket is substantially higher than the rest of the teams in a like for like world. Mostly because the customer is kind of they're not distracted. They're with us, so we can talk about the end tables. They're not rushing off to go pay for it so they can take somebody to a soccer game. They're there to have an experience with us. So, the virtual I think is really it's made for virtual. I keep saying virtual. It's made for almost like another store because we now have the web, we have the brick and mortar, and now we have this virtual experience where you can literally walk with a salesperson around the sales floor just from your recliner, which hopefully you're replacing with us because we just showed you something cool.
Yeah, 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 and with the matching side table as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So tell me a little bit about, I guess, two big questions I want to go through with you. One is NFM is, their store footprint is huge. It's multi-generation store. Like you said, you've got people, over 400 people in the company who have been there for over 20 years. So why do you think NFM's approach to innovation and experimentation is quite unique and different? Because when we speak to other retailers in the space, retailers that we all know, they're in every single city, on every block. When we talk about, NFM's doing this with live video or they've done this approach, the response that I get all the time is, oh, of course they are. They're first to do this. They're always first to do this. So, what is it in the culture? And you said this in the beginning as well. The culture at NFM is so unique.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, when you walk into any of the stores, you feel it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah.
So what is it about the culture or the approach to innovation and experimentation that is just part of the makeup and part of kind of the web that links all the staff together that allow you to, keep kind of pushing boundaries and setting the stage for others, not only in the furniture category, but in the industry as a whole?
Sure, sure. Well, I having worked here for so long and seeing so many of my peers work for companies that don't have this culture, what I have really noticed is that we're not risk aversion. We don't fear risk. Now, we don't want to just go out and decide that we're going to open a used car lot in our parking lot where it's all thought through, but we're willing to invest in something to see if it would generate extra business. Like, for example, we engaged with our website. We use Salesforce, which that was a
Mhm.
big investment. We had built one in house originally, and then we decided, let's leverage the tools that are out there instead of us trying to build stuff for the next evolution. I think really our current CEO, well, our CEO, it had been Ron and Herb Blumkin for decades, and they've turned over some of that to Tony Bolt, who's our CEO and chief executive, and his mind is disruption. So don't lay on. We've always done it this way. Think like a
Mhm.
customer, and actually, that's primarily my role is the voice of the customer. So if a customer is in that space to buy stuff, and one of the other big retailers has something that we could leverage ourselves, we leverage into that. But this video shopping really came about because of COVID. And our company as a whole, we're willing to take some chances and really go at it. And if it doesn't work, we've learned what doesn't work, and if it does, more generated income for us, which is of course what every retailer is looking for. But it's
Yeah.
the culture. It's don't just sit and wait until the customers stop coming and then try to find them. It's really keep the customers. And each of our regions has a very substantial market share, and but there's always room for more. So we focus on that. And we are also, I don't know if this has ever come up in any of your other podcasts, but our staff are amazing customers. They buy from us as well. So the experience they're having, they want as good as possible too. So they give us feedback and sharing things that they wish they could do. And with remote workers, they can use the video shop to do shopping just like a consumer. So if somebody works in clear across Missouri as a virtual employee, they can also use the video tools. So it's just nice all around. Good to have that option.
Yeah, that's true. I love also that mantra of think like a customer.
Yeah, oh, for sure. And if you're in a
Yeah.
business where you're not and you're just like, well, that's too much work for us, or, nobody has time to do that. Well, you will have time when you don't have customers anymore. So just, you got to embrace that technology and work with good partners.
Yeah. And then my last question for you is, I guess with this hat of think like a customer, where do you see kind of the future of customer experience and how are we gonna how are we gonna be shopping in the next 2 to 5 years?
Well, you're going to see a lot more of the AI created images, and I don't know if everybody knows what I'm talking about on the spin, but it creates the image on a 360 so that if you want to see what the back looks like, normally you wouldn't be able to do that, but in this new technology you can do that. But I think you're going to see omnichannel that embraces not only the website as your gateway. You're going to see them either come into the store or go into video shopping. There'll be 1,000 different motivators on why they want to do one or the other, and some of them will work at the exact same time. Our concierge often start with a video, and then they come into the store because they've seen so many things other than what they'd originally picked out online that it makes it worth the trip. And anybody who works in retail knows if you can get a customer into brick and mortar, you're going to sell them more. Online, oh, I like that brown sofa. Click, ad comes to your house. In the store, oh, I didn't think about that piece of art, or I didn't. Oh, those lamps, those are only $99. That experience is different. So if this is another gateway to get them in the building, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we agree. They're all connected. They're not
Oh yeah, and
individual touch
it's going to
points and
be,
channels.
we're working on this ourselves right now. Is the sharing of information through all the different channels. So if you pre-shop online, then you come into the store. We want that handoff to be really smooth with a salesperson. And likewise, if you've been working with a salesperson and then at 2 o'clock in the morning you decide you're going to pull the trigger on what you looked at, I want you to be able to do that online. And those are all innovations that probably everybody's working on, but they're priorities for us. So
Yeah, amazing.
yeah, it's
Um,
gonna be
yeah,
crazy.
it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting
Yeah.
to have this seamless journey for all of us as customers, just
Oh
making it a
yeah.
lot easier.
And we saw a little bit of buzz around kind of using the VR, the virtual reality. We have seen some design firms that have embraced that, but it's for us. We just haven't we haven't seen a value for our customers where they can map out a room and walk through it and all of that. But otherwise, if there's new technology, we generally know about it. Social, all of that stuff. We stay in tune.
Amazing.
It's good.
Well, for me, this has been wonderful to hear about the innovation culture, how you guys are looking at video, and just I think you've made it really clear to our audience as to why video is such a great way to bring that in-store experience to the customer and also just kind of on a pure P&L tick box exercise, just hit all the KPIs that you want to see in retail.
You just have to meet them where they want to be. And if this is, if at some point, well, here's a perfect example, and not to take the subject off, but we do mobile flooring vans because the customer wants the flooring to come to their house, which is where we're going to put the flooring. So that's another, that's just the kind of things that consumers are looking for. So all of us are consumers, and if we have ideas, then we should share them. And, those are the way we get to the next level.
True. Thank you so much, Rodney.
Of course.
I really appreciate your time. This was a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And enjoy your afternoon. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.